but he refused to consider the possibility she'd need medical care beyond that. They'd gotten there in time, and that's all there was to it. He heard voices in his radio and was aware Aiden stayed right behind him, but Grant didn't stop moving until he hit the clear, frigid air. He paused to get his bearings and then headed for the ambulances on standby. Some of those voices in his radio must have warned them he was coming, because Kate opened the back of her truck and waved at him. Kate Tasker was not only an EMT, but she was engaged to Gavin Boudreau, who was Grant's best friend and with the Ladder 37 crew. E-59 and L-37 were parked side by side in the firehouse and always rolled out together, so Gavin was on scene too. And Kate knew Wren. The four of them had spent a lot of time together before Wren walked away from him and didn't look back. By the time he reached the ambulance doors, he could feel her stirring. Not a lot, but she had to be breathing in order to regain consciousness, and that was enough for now. Because it was so damn cold and she was small, they didn't bother with the stretcher. He handed Wren up to Kate's partner, Tony, who turned away with her. "Oh my God, Grant." Kate looked at him, her expression mirroring his thoughts. "What the hell was Wren doing living here?"
"I don't know. She'll be okay, right?"
"We'll take care of her. Are you okay?" He didn't answer. As he watched Tony fit a mask over Wren's face, her eyes met his, and no, he wasn't okay. Questions tumbled through his mind. Why was Wren living in this place? Why had she disappeared from his life so abruptly? How could she still be in the city and not miss him enough to at least send a text message? Had she known he'd been days away from buying her a ring and asking her to spend the rest of her life with him?
"Cutter!" he heard Walsh bark into the radio. "Where the fuck are you?"
He had a job to do, and people's lives depended on him doing it. But as he started to turn away, his gaze caught Wren's again, and he felt the impact all the way to his toes. God, he'd loved her. And he didn't think he'd ever really be okay again. The look on Grant's face, his expressive dark eyes going so flat and cold before he turned and walked away, almost finished what the smoke had started and killed Wren Everett. 5 months ago, she'd thought walking away from him would be the hardest thing she ever did. Seeing him again was harder. Even with her lungs filling with smoke and her eyes watering, in that unguarded moment he'd recognized her. She'd seen all the pain she'd caused him. And as Kate's partner pressed a mask to her face and ordered her to breathe, she watched Grant's expression harden before he turned and walked away. That hurt even more than her lungs trying to expel the smoke she'd inhaled. "Wren, you can't cry right now," she heard Kate say. "You need to concentrate on breathing." She hadn't even realized she was gasping harder, and her vision was even more blurry, until Kate told her she was crying. But it didn't surprise her. When she'd broken Grant's heart, she'd done a heck of a job on her own, too.
"Deep breaths,"
Tony said in a kind but firm voice. She tried, but she couldn't stop coughing. "Were you living here?" Kate asked her while fussing over her, taking her vitals. Since she had a mask over her face and was supposed to be breathing, Wren nodded. Why? All she could manage was a small shrug, and she was almost thankful when another round of hoarse coughs gave her a good excuse not to answer. Kate would have a lot more questions. She'd been somebody Wren considered a friend, and the feeling had probably been mutual. But when she'd ghosted on Grant, she'd had to ghost on Gavin and Kate, too.
"Save the questions for later, Kate."
Tony looked at Wren for a long moment before turning to his partner.
"I think she needs to go in."
Wren didn't even want to think about how much an ambulance ride to the emergency room was going to cost her. But when Kate nodded, she didn't bother to argue. Kate was stubborn.
"You inhaled a lot of smoke and you lost consciousness," Tony explained. "The doctors will check out your lungs and heart and make sure everything's clear."
"That sounds ominous," Wren said, her voice raspy and muffled by the mask. "Just a precaution," Kate said. "Did the smoke detectors go off? You should have had plenty of warning, with time to get out." "There were no alarms." It was all a little fuzzy in her head, but she was sure the smoke detectors hadn't gone off. Tony swore under his breath, but not so under his breath that she didn't hear it, and shook his head.
"Asshole landlords, willing to risk lives to save a few bucks. Hell, you can get them for free if you're not too lazy to make a phone call."
"I remember hearing the sirens," she said, "but it's not weird to hear sirens around here, and I was exhausted, so I must have fallen back to sleep. When I woke up again, I was already coughing."